Just recently, I sat down and watched the 2023 film Founders Day. Founders Day is a horror movie, a slasher film, and really feels like a mixture of Scream and Thanksgiving. It has a predictable and unsatisfying ending, yet I found myself strangely entertained while watching the movie. It follows a decent enough storyline, yet it's unoriginal, stealing ideas already done many times in other slasher movies. The movie plot is as follows. It's set in a small town. A serial killer or killers are on the loose, and the movie's set against the backdrop of this heated mayoral race. The storyline unfolds, and it keeps audiences guessing who the killer is, much like Scream, and then at the end, we get the big surprise, the big reveal, and it's really not that surprising or not that shocking or well done. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, there's going to be spoilers ahead in this review. In general, I thought the film had many flaws, yet strangely I found myself engaged and entertained enough, curious as to who the killer was. Although there were several things that didn't really add up in the movie, I did find myself tempted to turn off the movie and just go read the Wikipedia page to find out who the killer was. So I'm going to call out the positives and the negatives for this film. I'm going to start with the positives, and probably the best aspect of this movie is that I did find it suspenseful. It keeps you engaged and curious as to who the killer was. There's certainly a few valid suspects, and the movie didn't completely telegraph who it was going to be, albeit it wasn't super shocking anyways. I would have liked to see more around the motivations. It was kind of thin in that area. Another positive thing around this film was the cinematography. I thought it was good. The shots were well done, and it captured many of the kill scenes with really just enough of the right gore. Now, the cinematography, it wasn't groundbreaking by any means, but it was surely above average, and it really helped the movie out. Now, other things I liked about the movie were the sound, the character dialogue, and the storyline was good enough, although it's surely not on par with slashers like Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer. All this said, the movie had several flaws that really kept it from being better. The first weakness was the ending, or the big reveal, and this was that Lily, along with several others, were behind the murders. Now, I'll get to the others in just a second, but having Lily be the primary murderer, it wasn't really a huge surprise. Early on in the film, we never saw her body when supposedly she was killed and dumped off the bridge. So it seemed likely that she was going to be one of the killers and one other person. Now, in addition to this, her motivation to kill seems really far-fetched, even for a movie like this. Not to mention, her acting is really bad when it gets down to that final scene and she tries to play the psycho. She's no Stu. She's not coming across as someone that really looks like it, the part. So the motivation's lacking, and are we really supposed to believe a girl goes psychotic and kills all these people, including her dad, because her summer love interest might be leaving her? It just doesn't add up, in my opinion. Now, one of the things we've seen since the original Scream in 1996 is the introduction of multiple killers. Now, while it was groundbreaking when Scream did it, this movie takes it too far, too extreme. In the movie, there are essentially 4 to 5 people in on the killings. All are really not connected by anything other than they just know each other in the town. And there's really no explanation of several of them of what their motives are. Lily, we get at least some sort of explanation, but it appears weak. So as far as the other killers, there's the teacher who masterminds the events. I'm guessing he did this so he could become mayor. I didn't realize small town mayor was that prestigious. Also, there's a deputy sheriff and a mayor's assistant that go along with the plan too, although it really doesn't make much sense. By all accounts, the mayor's assistant is still in the same place career-wise, And I assume the deputy sheriff, maybe he becomes sheriff since the sheriff was killed, but are we supposed to believe these two murdered so that they could get these meager promotions? Also, there's Adam, who I'll get to in just a sec. Now, one other big flaw in the movie, too, has to do with the mayoral race. Simply stated, the movie really overblows the importance of this job and the prestige of it. It's definitely an important job, I get it, but the movie seems to imply these politicians are as narcissistic and corrupt as politicians in the District of Columbia. For example, both mayoral candidates lose a child in the film, and seemingly for the most part don't seem that unfazed. They press on with their campaigns as they have to get that mayoral job at all cost. I'm not buying this though. It's not realistic, as if your kids are murdered, the fact is these candidates would probably drop out of this race. Now, one other flaw in the movie I thought was the casting of Devin Droid as Adam. Now, he plays that shy high schooler well, don't get me wrong, I think he's a fine actor, but I just think he's too old now. He's been playing the high school kid for so long. In 2016, he played a high schooler in Imperium, and he also played one in 13 Reasons Why. Now, in this movie, he was the best actor, I thought, but he just looks way older than his peers. In the final scene, we see Allison Chambers giving a speech, as well as a teacher giving one on Founders Day as the teacher gets away with the murders. Allison essentially was basically bribed into letting the teacher orchestrate all the murders. I'm not sure why her dad allowed all this. Maybe being unconscious, he really never figured it out. And there might be some other theme or message in this movie, but it seems to me like the message from it is just don't trust anyone, with 4 to 5 different killers.